Hello, I'm Professor Nancy Levitt, and we're going to talk about managing stress and maintaining well-being in law school. Let's start with myths and truths. Contrary to internet rumors, the first year of law school is not a near-death experience. What is documented, though, is that law students score significantly higher than the general population along various dimensions of psychological dysfunction: anxiety, depression, hostility, and feelings of inadequacy or self-doubt. It helps if you can unpack the sources of stress and if you have a good plan and a support system for dealing with the anticipated stress factors. Two of the major law school stressors are a fear of the unknown and a fear of failure. The unknown will become the known quite soon. You'll get into a cadence, a rhythm pretty quickly. The sleeplessness, high anxiety, and immersion in this new language and structure of thinking that occur in the first few weeks will get better. People make the mistake of thinking that their entire 3 years of law school and the many years of practice after will feel like the first few weeks of law school. Let's tackle the fear of failure. As Professor McClurg explained in the Biggest Fears video, nationwide, very few students are dismissed for academic deficiency. For years, the average has been about 5%. One of the largest stressors is the institutional glide path, the idea that there's only one route to success: top 10% grades, law review, and an offer from a large law firm. Law professor Larry Krieger has identified what he calls the universal fallacy, that the road to happiness runs through the top of the class. Krieger and psychology professor Ken Sheldon surveyed more than 6,000 lawyers about lawyer happiness. What they found was that longer-term attorney well-being was not correlated with prestige or money or attendance at a high-ranked law school or class rank. In fact, it was lawyers in public service jobs, which are usually the lowest-paying jobs, who reported the greatest amount of satisfaction. More generally, the very strongest predictors of longer-term lawyer well-being are autonomy, whether people have control and feel competent, the strength of relationships and intrinsic motivations, why you want to be a lawyer. Those are the factors that are the best predictors of satisfying careers. My colleague Doug Linder and I reached the very same conclusion after interviewing more than 200 lawyers across the country for our book, The Happy Lawyer. A satisfying life as a lawyer isn't about grades or wages. It's about finding work that's engaging and personally meaningful and focused on helping people who need it. To manage stress and maintain well-being, first, get and stay in physical shape. Get moving every day. You'll be doing a lot of sitting most days, and physical exercise will calm you, release endorphins, it's a free and legal high, and help you sleep better at night. You probably don't want to start marathon training during your first few weeks of law school, but starting a moderate exercise program, walking 30 minutes a day, is a great idea. The key is consistency. But I don't have time, you'll say. Make time. Beware of alcohol and substance abuse. More than half of all lawyer disciplinary actions involve some form of substance abuse. Some law students try to respond to the stress of law school or anesthetize themselves with a few drinks. Alcohol is a depressant, it doesn't solve the stresses, and in fact can become a problem. All 50 states and D.C. have confidential lawyer assistance programs, which provide counseling and mentoring to both law students and lawyers suffering from mental health or substance abuse problems. Don't hesitate to seek counseling if you think you need it. Don't fall behind in your work. One of the easiest ways to ratchet up the stress is to fall behind on reading and outlining. Conversely, one of the easiest ways to stay in control is to keep up with not only the daily readings, but also with the periodic review and outlining. Find mentors. Establishing contact with a faculty mentor is very important. Faculty members can give you good class and career advice and help create networking connections for you. A 2012 law school survey of student engagement showed that 82% of 1Ls who responded had discussed career plans with a faculty member, and about 2/3 of them rated those faculty relationships high on dimensions such as respect, helpfulness, and being sympathetic. Contrary to the worst fears of many students, one of your biggest surprises about law school is likely to be how much your professors care about your well-being and success. Don't give up your outside interests. Law school, if it's done right, is not a 24/7 job for 3 years. Treat school like a job. Come in at 8 or 9, leave at 5, and you'll have time in the evenings for your own pursuits. Cooking, reading, painting, fantasy sports, real sports, whatever you like to do. Keep doing it. It's a nice refuge from law school and a great way to wind down or decompress. You can do a lot to inoculate yourself from stress with the right attitude. Perhaps the most important message about reducing stress, managing your well-being, and finding some happiness is to carve your own path and define success for yourself while you're in law school. Too often students think their worth is measured by their grades. I'm not telling you that grades are unimportant. They're actually very important in law school. Just that your well-being should not be defined by your grades. How can you avoid a focus on grades? Learn for understanding. Can you explain the concept to your 10th grade nephew? Studies show that people who try to learn for understanding learn it better than those who stew about whether they're studying some subject matter hard enough to get a B. Law students who are more self-aware and chart their own paths are more likely to wind up happier and in a job that matches their interests and their skill sets. Remember why you came to law school, remember who you wanted to help, and don't wait until you pass the bar to start helping. Giving back in small volunteer or pro bono projects is good on so many levels. Find the happier people. Relationships might be the single most important component in happiness, and people tend to match and mirror the emotions of other people around them. Don't you have a Debbie Downer in your law school class or in your friend group? Sure you do. The person who gleefully finds the negative in any situation and infects you. Don't go looking at each other funny, but disgruntled law students can spread their unhappiness like cold germs. You also have the bubbly and upbeat Paul Positive too, right? Studies in organizational behavior show that his positive mood will transfer between people and spread throughout a group. Happiness is contagious, and you can catch it. So find and hang out with the happier people. Practice happiness strategies. Create good neural pathways. What if you aren't, by nature, a positive person? There's still a large swath of your own happiness that's within your control and isn't dictated by genes or circumstances. About 50% of people's happiness levels is genetic, and 10% is driven by circumstance, which leaves about 40% that's controllable. There's new material coming out in cognitive neuroscience about building new neural pathways with repeated patterns of action. Good neural pathways, or bad, think repetitive worrying or depression. The idea is that you start seeing the world according to the framework of what you repeatedly do. You can create new neural pathways, which are just channels that your brain has a tendency to follow. How can you create the good pathways? There are lots of little things you can do. One of my favorites is the 3 Gratitudes exercise from Sonia Lyubomirsky. At the end of the day, for about 12 weeks, write down 3 things for which you're grateful to create that neural pathway of gratitude, which is a huge happiness booster. I'm really grateful for having such terrific colleagues as Professors Coughlin and Duncan and McClurg. I'm very grateful to have the invitation to speak with you. It's always fun to discuss issues that matter to students. I'm very grateful that many of you seem interested in the concepts in One Hell of a Ride, or at least you're on the other end of technology, so you seem like a civil and polite group. I'm grateful either way. Another technique, don't let yourself slip into negative worrying. I don't get this. I don't get this more than other people don't get this. And there you are, off on a race to the bottom that's occurring only in your own mind. Flip it. I get this part. This is the part I'm going to look up. I'm going to figure this out. I can do this. I pretty quickly grasped the idea that judges' first names did not all begin with the letter J. All my life, if I set my mind to it, I've been able to figure things out. You can create good neural pathways. We hope that you enjoy law school and that you don't hesitate to find mentors and ask for help if you need it. You'll likely make some of the best friends of your life in law school. The people around you are going through the same thing that you are. They want to be in the same profession that you do. You'll probably find a very supportive community. Choose happiness, and I hope that you enjoy the ride.